Imagine walking into a room. You say nothing. Yet everyone feels your presence. No loud voice. No forced confidence. No desperate need to impress. Just calm. And somehow, respect follows. Most people think respect is earned through dominance, through aggression, through being the loudest voice in the room. But the Stoics knew something different. Real authority is silent, and tonight, you will learn the first of 5 ancient laws that build unshakable respect without ever raising your voice. This is Law 1. Master your silence. There was once a man who believed power meant volume. At meetings, he spoke over others. In arguments, he increased his tone. In disagreements, he doubled down. He thought people feared him. But fear is not respect. Behind his back, people rolled their eyes. They avoided him. They complied, but never trusted. Then one day, a new leader arrived. This leader was different. He didn't interrupt. He didn't argue loudly. He didn't defend himself immediately. He listened, and when he finally spoke, he spoke slowly. Measured, precise. The room would go silent. Because silence forces attention, the loud man demanded space. The calm man owned it. Why silence creates authority. When you rush to speak, you reveal insecurity. When you rush to defend yourself, you reveal ego. When you rush to react, you surrender control. The Stoics understood this deeply. Look at Marcus Aurelius. He ruled the most powerful empire in the world. Yet in his private writings, he reminded himself, be quiet and work, speak only what is necessary. An emperor, with nothing to prove, because the truly powerful do not need to announce themselves. Silence communicates. I am not threatened. I do not need validation. I control myself. And self-control is the highest form of dominance. The psychological truth. When someone insults you and you immediately respond, you are reacting. When someone challenges you and you instantly defend, you are emotionally hooked. But when you pause, you shift the power dynamic. Silence creates tension. And tension makes people uncomfortable. Most people cannot sit in silence. They will rush to fill it. They will reveal too much. They will weaken their own position. And you remain composed. This is not manipulation. It is discipline. Picture a workplace scenario. Someone criticizes your idea publicly. Most people interrupt, justify, get defensive, raise their tone. But imagine this instead. You listen, you nod, you wait 3 seconds before responding. Then calmly say, "That's an interesting perspective. Let's examine the data." No emotion, no attack, just clarity. Who looks stronger, the emotional one, or the composed one? Calm is unsettling to aggressive people, because they expect resistance, not restraint. The Stoic pause technique. Here is a practical exercise. When provoked, breathe in slowly, count to 3, relax your jaw, lower your tone by 20%. Speak half as fast as usual. That's it. This small shift changes how people perceive you. Fast speech signals anxiety. Loud speech signals insecurity. Slow, controlled speech signals authority. This is why generals speak slowly. This is why judges speak slowly. This is why wise people choose their words carefully. Every emotional reaction costs energy. And energy is power. If you react to everything, you drain yourself. But if you choose carefully when to speak, people notice. Imagine 2 men. One argues about every insult. The other ignores petty attacks and only responds when it matters. Which one seems powerful? The one who is selective. Selective response creates mystery. Mystery creates influence. There will be moments when someone tries to embarrass you publicly. Instead of reacting, hold eye contact. Say nothing. Let the silence stretch. Often, they will begin to backtrack, because silence makes them confront their own behavior. It exposes their aggression, and highlights your composure. Epictetus was once a slave. He had no social status, no wealth, no power, yet his presence commanded respect from emperors. Why? Because he could not be emotionally controlled. He once said, "If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation." In simple terms, no one can dominate you without your permission. And silence is how you refuse permission. Let's be clear. There is weak silence, and there is strong silence. Weak silence comes from fear. Strong silence comes from choice. Weak silence avoids confrontation. Strong silence delays reaction. The key difference: posture, eye contact, breathing, internal calm. When your body language says, "I am grounded," silence becomes intimidating. Don't rush. Don't over-explain. Don't chase approval. Don't fill every gap with noise. They are comfortable in stillness, because they know their value. Low-status behavior seeks validation. High-status behavior assumes it. This is the first Stoic law. Control yourself before you attempt to influence others. For the next 7 days. Do not interrupt anyone. Pause before responding. Remove filler words. Speak 10% less than usual. Observe more than you comment. You will notice something strange. People begin to lean in when you talk. Because rarity increases value. The world rewards noise, but respects calm. The crowd shouts. The leader watches. The insecure defend. The powerful decide. Silence is not emptiness. It is contained force. And when you master it, you will never need to raise your voice again. There is a moment, right before someone loses control. You can see it in their eyes. Their breathing changes. The jaw tightens. Their voice sharpens. Emotion takes over. And in that moment, they surrender power. Now imagine the opposite. Pressure rises. Voices escalate. Accusations fly. And you remain steady. Not cold, not passive, but unshakable. This is law 2. Detach from what you cannot control. Because the person who cannot be emotionally moved cannot be dominated. Most people believe authority comes from controlling others. But the Stoics understood something deeper. The only true control is control over your internal state. Look at Epictetus. Born a slave, beaten, humiliated, owned, yet he taught one of the most powerful psychological principles ever written. Some things are in our control, others are not. Your reputation, not fully in your control. Other people's opinions, not in your control. The weather, not in your control. Unexpected betrayal, not in your control. But your reaction, always in your control. The moment you confuse the two, you lose stability. When someone criticizes you and you react emotionally, you communicate. I need your approval. When someone insults you and you explode, you communicate. You have power over me. But when someone attacks you and you remain composed, you communicate. You cannot disturb my foundation. That foundation is what people respect. Detachment does not mean you don't care. It means you choose what deserves your energy. And energy is authority. Imagine this scenario. You present an idea in front of colleagues. Someone laughs dismissively. The room feels tense. Your ego wants to defend. Your pride wants to retaliate. Your emotion wants to react. But instead, you breathe. You pause. And you calmly say, "Let's hear your concern." No sarcasm. No anger. Just steady presence. What just happened? You passed the fire test. Pressure reveals emotional maturity, and emotional maturity is rare. Rare things are valuable. Marcus Aurelius ruled during war, plague, and political betrayal. Imagine leading the Roman Empire while enemies attack your borders and trusted generals plot against you. Yet in his private journal, later known as Meditations, he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Think about that. An emperor, with armies, with wealth, with command over millions, and still, he focused inward. Because external power means nothing without internal stability. Let's be clear. Stoicism is not emotional numbness. It is not bottling anger. It is not pretending you feel nothing. Detachment is awareness without impulsive reaction. You notice the anger, you observe the frustration, but you don't let it drive. You drive. Your emotions are passengers, not the steering wheel. That difference changes everything. People mirror your emotional state. If you panic, others panic. If you rage, others escalate. If you stay calm, others slowly regulate. Emotional detachment stabilizes rooms. In leadership psychology, this is called emotional regulation authority. You become the emotional anchor. And humans naturally look to anchors during storms. The 3-second sovereignty rule. Here is a practical exercise. When triggered, notice the emotion. Name it silently. Take one slow breath before responding. This tiny gap restores sovereignty. Without the gap, emotion controls you. With the gap, you choose. That gap is power. Today, emotional manipulation is everywhere. Outrage culture, comment wars, public shaming, provocation for engagement. People want a reaction. Because reaction is currency. The strongest response. Selective non-engagement. You don't attend every argument you're invited to. You don't defend yourself against every misunderstanding. You don't explain yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. Silence in the face of foolishness is not weakness. It is discipline. Imagine someone says, "You're not as smart as you think." Most people defend their intelligence. But the detached response, a small smile, interesting perspective, and move on. You didn't confirm. You didn't deny. You didn't escalate. You refused the emotional hook. And without emotional hooks, manipulators lose influence. Before reacting, ask, is this within my control? Will this matter in a year? Does responding improve the situation? Or am I protecting my ego? Ego reacts instantly. Wisdom evaluates. The more you filter, the less you are shaken. And the less you are shaken, the more stable you appear. Stability attracts respect. There's a reason judges, military commanders, and seasoned leaders speak with calm restraint. Authority is not loud. It is grounded. When people sense that nothing can emotionally hijack you, they're just their behavior around you. They become more careful with their words. More measured, more respectful, because they realize you cannot be pulled into chaos. At some point, someone will disappoint you. A friend, a partner, a colleague. And your instinct will be emotional reaction. But consider this. If someone betrays you once, that's information. If they betray you twice, that's your boundary failure. Emotional detachment allows clarity. You don't explode. You don't beg. You adjust access. Calmly. That calm boundary communicates more power than any argument. Leader 1. When criticized, he argues. When challenged, he becomes defensive. When stressed, he snaps. Leader 2. When criticized, he listens. When challenged, he asks questions. When stressed, he slows down. Which one would you trust in crisis? Which one would you follow into uncertainty? Emotional detachment builds crisis credibility. And crisis credibility builds silent authority. One of the deepest Stoic insights is this: focus on effort, not outcome. When you are emotionally attached to outcome, you become anxious. When you focus on effort, you become steady. Give your best. Detach from results. Ironically, this makes you perform better. Because fear of failure no longer paralyzes you. The world is filled with reactive people. Triggered, provoked, manipulated, but you are building something different. An internal fortress. Emotional detachment is not about becoming distant. It is about becoming disciplined. When your inner state cannot be shaken, your outer authority becomes undeniable. And when others realize they cannot control your emotions, they stop trying. Listen carefully. In every room, there are two types of people. The first speaks constantly. They explain too much. They justify every opinion. They fill silence with nervous words. The second speaks rarely, but when they do, the entire room shifts. Heads turn, voices lower, attention sharpens. They don't speak often, but when they speak, it matters. This is law 3. Reduce your words. Increase your weight. Because authority is not in how much you say. It is in how much your words carry. Over-explaining is subtle insecurity. When you add 5 reasons instead of 1, when you repeat yourself for approval, when you ramble to ensure acceptance, you dilute your power. People sense uncertainty in excess language. Strong speech is precise. Weak speech is excessive. The Stoics understood that speech must be intentional. Epictetus once advised, be mostly silent, or speak only what is necessary, and in few words. Notice the structure of that advice. Not silent always, not mute, but selective, disciplined, measured. Human psychology assigns value to scarcity. Rare metals are expensive. Rare art is priceless. Rare opportunities are desired. The same applies to speech. If you speak constantly, your words lose novelty. If you speak intentionally, your words gain gravity. Silence builds anticipation, and anticipation builds influence. Imagine a group discussion. Everyone contributes. Some talk over each other. Some repeat ideas. Some compete for recognition. And you observe. You listen carefully. You say nothing for the first 10 minutes. Then when the room settles, you speak once. Clear, concise, direct. Suddenly your words feel structured, deliberate, important, because you didn't fight for space. You waited for it. That patience signals confidence. Measured speech is not only about fewer words. It is also about strategic pauses. When you speak too quickly, you signal nervousness. When you pause before finishing a sentence, you signal control. Consider this difference. I think maybe we should consider another option because it might be better. Versus, we need a better option. Pause. Here's why. The second feels grounded, decisive, commanding. Authority lives in rhythm. Slow rhythm equals control. Fast rhythm equals anxiety. A lesson from Marcus Aurelius. Marcus Aurelius ruled vast territories. Yet his personal writings are strikingly simple. No dramatic language. No emotional exaggeration. Short reflections. Clear thoughts. Minimalism in expression mirrors minimalism in ego. The more secure a person is, the less they need decorative language to prove it. Many people speak to impress. They use complex vocabulary unnecessarily. They name drop. They perform intelligence instead of demonstrating it. True intelligence simplifies. True confidence clarifies. True authority removes noise. If you cannot explain something simply, you may not fully understand it. Measured speech forces clarity of thought. And clarity of thought projects leadership. Here is a practical rule. In conversations, aim to speak 30% less than the average person. Instead, ask better questions. Maintain steady eye contact. Nod slowly. Let others finish completely. When people feel heard, they respect the listener. Listening is a power move, because it reveals information. Information is leverage. The one who speaks constantly reveals their strategy. The one who listens gathers insight. Every word costs energy. Every explanation costs status. Every justification reduces mystique. You do not owe everyone detailed reasoning. You do not owe every critic a defense. Sometimes the most powerful response is no, without explanation, without apology. Without added paragraphs. Boundaries spoken briefly are stronger than boundaries explained endlessly. Negotiator 1 talks constantly. He fills silence with discounts. He overjustifies price. He weakens his position. Negotiator 2 states the offer once, then remains silent. Silence creates pressure. The other side begins negotiating against themselves. Because humans fear awkward silence, measured speakers use this natural tension. They don't rush to rescue discomfort. They let it work. Speak with weight, not volume. Volume does not equal authority. Clarity does. Depth does. Control does. If someone raises their voice, lower yours. If someone speaks quickly, slow down. The contrast alone creates dominance. Because control is magnetic, people gravitate towards steadiness. Remove filler words. Pay attention to phrases like, you know, like, I mean. To be honest, these are subconscious signs of hesitation. Eliminate them. Replace them with silence. Silence feels stronger than filler. A brief pause appears thoughtful. Filler appears uncertain. Authoritative people do not circle back endlessly. They state their point. They clarify once if needed. Then they stop. Over-talking weakens conviction. If you say, I believe this is the right move, stop there. Do not add, but I could be wrong. Unless you think. Confidence allows space for disagreement without surrendering position. People are intrigued by those who reveal less. Mystery generates curiosity. Curiosity generates attention. Attention generates influence. If you constantly reveal your plans, your emotions, your frustrations, you reduce intrigue. Measured speech creates psychological distance. And psychological distance creates perceived status. To speak less, you must think more. You must slow your reactions. You must filter emotion before expression. This requires internal order, which is why Stoicism focuses first on mastering the mind. Speech is simply the external evidence of internal discipline. When your thoughts are structured, your words naturally become fewer and stronger for the next week. Do not interrupt anyone. Keep responses under 20 seconds unless necessary. Remove filler words. Pause before answering. Avoid repeating yourself. Observe what happens. You will notice. People listen more carefully. People interrupt you less. People take your words more seriously. Because measured speech signals value. You don't need to dominate conversations. You need to elevate them. And elevation requires precision. Remember, anyone can talk. Few can communicate with restraint. Restraint is rare. Rare is powerful. Authority is not loud. It is deliberate. It is controlled. It is selective. When you speak less, your words weigh more. When your words weigh more, people lean in, and when people lean in, you no longer need to demand respect. It arrives on its own. There is a silent test happening every day in your life. Not a loud one, not dramatic, but subtle. Someone asks for your time. Someone pushes your limits. Someone disrespects you slightly. Someone crosses a line. Just a little. And in that moment, your response decides your status. Do you laugh it off? Do you tolerate it? Do you say yes when you mean no? Or do you calmly, firmly, set a boundary? This is law 4. Respect yourself first, or no one else will. Because boundaries are the architecture of authority. Without them, respect collapses. Why people struggle to say no? Most people fear rejection. They fear conflict. They fear being disliked. So they say yes. Yes to extra work. Yes to unfair treatment. Yes to disrespect disguised as jokes. Yes to emotional manipulation. But every unnecessary yes is a silent no to yourself. And over time, people sense it. They feel your lack of firmness. And unconsciously, they push further. Marcus Aurelius wrote about maintaining integrity even when pressured by others. He reminded himself daily, just that you do the right thing. The rest doesn't matter. Notice something important. Stoicism is not about pleasing others. It is about alignment with your principles. If your principles are clear, your boundaries become natural. If your principles are weak, your boundaries collapse under pressure. Time is the most disrespected resource. People will waste it casually, interrupt it freely. Demand it without consideration. If you allow this repeatedly, you communicate low personal value. High-value individuals protect their time, not aggressively. Not arrogantly, but deliberately. If someone asks, "Can you do this tonight?" instead of immediately agreeing, say, "Let me check my schedule." That pause signals control. Are not available on command. You decide. Saying no does not require explanation. It requires clarity. Weak no sounds like this: "I'm really sorry, but I don't think I can. Maybe." Strong no sounds like this: "I won't be able to." Stop. No apology parade. No excessive justification. No nervous laughter. When you over-explain your no, you invite negotiation. When you state it calmly, You establish finality. In friendships, workplaces, and romantic dynamics, boundaries determine balance. If someone jokes at your expense and you smile to avoid tension, you train them to continue. If someone raises their voice and you match it, you escalate. But if someone crosses a line and you calmly say, "I don't appreciate that," and then remain silent, the message lands. The silence after a boundary is crucial. It communicates seriousness. No anger, no drama, just firmness. Seneca once wrote, "He who fears death will never do anything worthy of a man who is alive." In modern terms, he who fears disapproval will never live with integrity. If you live to avoid conflict, you become controlled by others' reactions. But if you accept that some people will dislike your boundaries, you become free. Freedom creates authority. People respect what they cannot move easily. If every opinion changes your stance, if every complaint changes your decision, if every emotional display shifts your mood, you appear unstable. But when your standards are consistent, people adjust. Strong boundaries prevent hidden anger. They replace silent frustration with clear communication. And clarity prevents chaos. Here is a practical structure. State the behavior. State your standard. State the consequence. Example: when meetings start late, it affects my schedule. I need us to begin on time. If it continues, I'll have to leave at the scheduled end regardless. No hostility, no emotion, just structure. Boundaries without emotion feel authoritative. Boundaries with anger feel reactive. Many people worry, if I set boundaries, people will think I'm difficult. Consider this: the people who benefit from your lack of boundaries are the ones who will resist them. That resistance is information, not a signal to retreat. Strong people respect clarity. Manipulative people resist it. Let that distinction guide you. Boundaries are not only spoken, they are behavioral. Leaving when disrespected. Refusing to entertain gossip. You do not need to argue every time. Sometimes the strongest boundary is reduced access. Silently, calmly, permanently. When you first begin setting boundaries, expect pushback. Growth looks like change to those comfortable with your compliance. Stay steady. The first time is uncomfortable. The second time is easier. By the fifth time, it becomes natural. Eventually, people stop testing, because they know the answer. The most important boundary is internal. What behavior will you tolerate from yourself? Do you allow procrastination? Do you tolerate self-disrespect? Do you break promises to yourself? If you cannot enforce boundaries internally, external ones will collapse. Self-respect precedes external respect. Discipline builds inner authority. Inner authority radiates outward. Once you consistently hold boundaries, your posture changes. Your tone deepens. Your words shorten. Because you are no longer negotiating your worth. You are expressing it, and expression of self-worth is magnetic. For 1 week. Address one small disrespect immediately. Stop apologizing unnecessarily. Protect 1 hour of uninterrupted personal time daily. Refuse one draining conversation. Observe how uncomfortable it feels. Then observe how empowering it becomes. Discomfort is temporary. Respect is lasting. You cannot command respect if you cannot defend your standards. You cannot build authority on a foundation of compliance. Boundaries are not walls. They are filters. They protect your energy. They define your value. They shape how others treat you. And when your boundaries are calm, consistent, and unshakable, you no longer need to demand respect. Your presence demands it for you. There is one final layer. The deepest layer. You can master silence. You can control emotion. You can measure your speech. You can set strong boundaries. But without this last law, your authority will feel incomplete. Because the highest form of respect is given to those who move with purpose. This is Law 5. Life anchored to something greater than approval. Because when a person has purpose, they stop chasing validation. And when they stop chasing validation, respect chases them. Have you ever noticed how some people walk into a room and feel grounded? Not flashy, not loud, but focused. They don't scan for attention. They don't perform for approval. They don't adjust themselves to impress. They are internally directed. They have something to build, something to pursue, something that matters more than opinions. That is purpose. And purpose creates gravity. When you don't know what you stand for, you bend easily. When you don't know where you're going, you follow whoever speaks loudest. But when you are clear on your direction, you become difficult to distract. And distraction is the enemy of authority. People respect those who are mission-driven. Because mission-driven individuals are not emotionally negotiable. Marcus Aurelius faced war, betrayal, illness, and constant pressure. Yet he reminded himself daily. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work, as a human being. Notice that. He saw leadership not as status, but as duty. Duty anchored him. Purpose stabilized him. When you operate from duty rather than ego, you become steady. And steady men and women command respect. Most people live for applause. They adjust their opinions to fit crowds. They soften truths to avoid discomfort. They change direction based on trends. But chasing approval creates inconsistency. Inconsistency weakens authority. When someone senses you are trying to impress them, your status drops. When someone senses you don't need their validation, your status rises. Purpose removes the need to impress. Because you are too focused building. Imagine two individuals. The first wakes up scrolling. He reacts to messages. He adjusts to other people's schedules. He complains about circumstances. He seeks attention. The second wakes with intention. He has goals. He has discipline. Has non-negotiable standards. He moves before distractions reach him. Who appears more grounded. Who seems more stable. Purpose organizes behavior. Disorganization destroys presence. Epictetus taught that each person must play their role well. If you are a father, be a good father. If you are a leader, be a just leader. If you are a citizen, act honorably. Your role defines your responsibility. And responsibility creates structure. When you fully embrace your role, you stop seeking identity in external applause. You already know who you are. Authority grows when you think long-term. Short-term thinkers react emotionally. Long-term thinkers respond strategically. When insulted, a short-term thinker retaliates. Long-term thinker asks, does this matter for my mission? If not, ignore. If yes, address calmly. Purpose filters noise. Without a filter, everything feels important. With purpose, most things become irrelevant. Purpose is not a motivational quote. It is daily alignment. Ask yourself, what am I building? What do I stand for? What kind of person am I becoming? What is non-negotiable in my character? Write it down. Clear internal codes produce consistent external behavior, and consistency builds reputation. Reputation builds authority. People subconsciously respect those who are busy building something meaningful, not busy for attention, busy for growth. When someone senses you have direction, they hesitate to waste your time. Because focused energy feels scarce. Scarcity creates value. Value creates respect. The final Stoic refinement is this: detach from praise just as you detach from criticism. When you rely on praise to feel worthy, you become controlled by it, but when your worth comes from internal alignment, external opinions lose influence. Seneca warned against living according to public approval. He understood something powerful: the crowd is unstable, and if your identity depends on unstable forces, you will never feel secure. Inner purpose stabilizes identity. Notice the difference between performers and builders. Performers seek spotlight. Builders seek progress. Performers adjust for attention. Builders adjust for improvement. Silent authority belongs to builders. Because builders do not need noise. They need results. And results speak louder than volume. Here is your final practice. For 30 days, wake up without checking your phone for the first 30 minutes. Write down one key objective daily. Eliminate one distraction each week. Protect your focus as if it were money. Track progress quietly. Without announcing it, build privately. Improve silently. Let results announce themselves. The less you broadcast, the more powerful your presence becomes. Control of self. That is the foundation of silent authority. Not dominance, not intimidation, not aggression. Self-mastery. And self-mastery radiates. Imagine walking into a room now. You do not rush. You do not overspeak. You do not over-explain. You do not bend for approval. You are calm, grounded, focused, purpose-driven. People feel it there just unconsciously. Because deep down, everyone recognizes internal strength. And internal strength cannot be faked. It can only be developed. Respect is not demanded. It is earned through consistency. Authority is not shouted. It is embodied. And the Stoics understood something timeless. When you conquer yourself, you never need to conquer others. Silence becomes powerful. Emotion becomes disciplined. Speech becomes precise. Boundaries become firm. Purpose becomes guiding light. And your presence becomes enough.